Hello my friends and welcome to Monster Monday. Today I'm going to talk about dinosaurs.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Alright guys, so dinosaurs are nothing new in the world of D&D. Some of my earliest memories were playing a very old module called the Isle of Dread. And I'm not even sure, because I played in it and I never ran it, I'm not even sure if dinosaurs were supposed to be in Isle of Dread or if that was just something that our DM homebrewed. But like in pretty much every edition of D&D, dinosaurs have been included. Now, you might be asking, well, how is that possible? In a world where, you know, typically most parts of D&D are kind of set in a sort of medieval European vibe. I've always thought of Greyhawk and Blackmoor as being very medieval European, and the Forgotten Realms, for the most part, kind of has that vibe too. But if you've gotten into D&D within the last couple of years, you're probably aware of the island of Chult, you know, the island continent. The concept is that, you know, maybe in some very remote tropical areas there are still dinosaurs. Now, if you're not into dinosaurs, or if you think it's cheesy to have dinosaurs mixed in with your environment, I totally get it. Like, I don't think that dinosaurs, like many monsters, I don't think that they could just be dropped into any setting. I think there has to be a rationale for that. So really, today's Monster Monday focuses on rationales or ways to integrate these monsters into a campaign, okay? So let's start off with concept one, which I would consider to be the destination adventure, okay? The idea with a destination adventure is that the parties leave their normal area, region, continent, kingdom, whatever, to go on some kind of exploration, expedition, you know, search and destroy, whatever you have. And they go to a place that is different from where they normally live. By going to a place, by using the destination format, you can now change kind of the paradigm or the rules for your location, your region. And that would make it a lot easier to facilitate the existence of dinosaurs, okay? When you're thinking about destination adventures, you want to give your players some idea of what they're going into, or at least the opportunity to get knowledge about that. So for example, if I was running a destination adventure where I knew I wanted to have dinosaurs, the first thing that I would do is create a reason for the characters to go on this expedition. The easiest way to do that is that they've been hired by a company or by a noble or by a king to go on this expedition. And the initial reason is probably something mundane. It could be as easy as like, hey, our merchant navy has discovered this new island that we never knew about before, and the initial landing there in foray has yielded very interesting things. Insert interesting things, okay? This could be rare, valuable things like gold, gems, maybe there are diamonds, you know, something like that, silver. Or it could be something maybe more nature-based. Maybe there's certain plants that grow on this island that are tremendously valuable for medicinal purposes, for magical components, what have you. But there's got to be an initial reason for that party to want to invest in a destination, right? And the objective, of course, would be to establish some kind of base camp or settlement so that this company or lord or noble family, whatever, has, you know, kind of a foot in the door on this island. Now, you could also flip the script and say that this island was discovered and that there's some kind of ruins there, some kind of lost civilization that's there, and that the initial findings of this lost civilization were, again, valuable jewelry, gems, minerals, gold, whatever. And that could plant a seed, okay? So one way or the other, that's the initial hook that gets the party to go to this destination. And you as the DM know what you want to make, right? So we could go with one of two ways or all three. We could go with the initial thing where it's just a wild, uninhabited island, and there are gems or gold or whatever, or you could do the lost civilization thing, or you could do a little bit of both. But what I like to do is create an opportunity for characters to have further discoveries. This requires some ingenuity on the part of the players. So you're going to want to create some opportunities for players to be able to find out more, to take advantage of the lore that they have. So let's say that one of your players in the group is like, do I know anything about any lost islands in this area of the sea? Okay, make a history roll. Maybe they make the roll and they're like, you can give them a little seed, a little hint, like, you do remember some myths, some legends that sailors used to say about an island where ships would go and none would ever return, that kind of thing. Or you could say, you know, depending on their success rate, you could say that, you know, in any number of skill checks, maybe they want to make an Arcana check because, you know, do I know anything about this lost civilization? Did they use magic? So you take a basic set of skills that you know your party has, and you create some hints. And then if they say, I want to investigate further, I want to go to the temple, I want to go to the library, I want to go to the Mages Academy, whatever, the Bard College, and investigate further. Upon further investigation, you can give them a little more information, okay? But these are just hints that give them a little bit of information. So maybe the name of the civilization, of the people who once lived on this island, or the name of the island itself. If you decide not to do the ruins and the ancient civilization, maybe you just have, you know, they find old naval records that talk about this island and it was never claimed by anyone for whatever reason. But maybe you mention a few geographic features. So think of like pirate maps. Pirate maps are not perfectly detailed pieces, right? They're almost coded for a reason so that, you know, you don't find the treasure, right? So maybe there's little symbols. Maybe this is for you as an opportunity for a DM to craft a cool, very, very rough map and age it and distress it, okay? And maybe the players who are investigating find in this captain's log. You can even do a journal of a captain's log from hundreds of years ago that somehow survived in the archives. And you find out that this island, you know, it was known and it was reported back, but no nobles ever went back to claim it or discover it. Why? You know, so that kind of increases the mystery. So all of this kind of pre-adventure research is stuff that you as a DM can prepare to give hints, okay? Now, one other hint to loop back to the dinosaurs is maybe there were a few artifacts brought back from this island, from whatever naval expedition discovered it, or pirates or whatever. You know, maybe there was a gold statuette that looks very foreign and old, and it's not representative of the style of this region. So it's like from another time that we're, you know, in another civilization. Of course, I think for us here in North America, the idea of Chult is kind of a mix of like Central and South America and maybe a little bit of Africa mixed in. But the idea is that like you want it to be whatever they discover to be very foreign. But the bigger thing I think that would be cool is to bring back like that maybe there was like a fang or a tooth. And this tooth is like petrified and it's like a fossil and it's enormous, right? And it doesn't, you know, maybe your players or characters have like nature checks or arcana checks, probably nature, but they check and they're like, this is an enormous tooth. This doesn't match any beast in our entire continent, right? So you're giving them a hint. Now your players might have a meta moment where they're like, oh crap, it's a dinosaur tooth. Okay, that's fine. You haven't confirmed or denied that. Keep it straight and poker faced, right? But you want to give them little hints about what this island has, but not too much. Maybe in that little roughly hewn map that you give them only if they spent the time before leaving on the expedition. And by the way, give them like a week. Give them a week. Tell them like, yeah, the ship's gonna leave in a week. You know, normal adventuring parties would be like, well, I'm gonna go to the general store and get my 50 feet of rope and my grappling hook, and I'm gonna get water and rations and oil, blah, blah, blah. You might even give them money from the company who's sponsoring them to do that. But more importantly, you're giving them time. And it's up to the players to tell you what they do at that time. If they just wanna like waste it, then they wasted it. But you should prepare a few hints based on some basic lore things, going back to using your intelligence attributes, but like have a few nature things. Maybe there was a botanist that, you know, wrote down some notes about some of the plant life there. Maybe, you know, so your nature person can make a roll. Maybe there is, like I said, the journal or part of a captain's ledger or journal, captain's log from a naval ship. The tooth or the fang, a gold statuette, just little hints that apply to history, arcana, whatever. So, your group's going to embark on this destination. They make the naval trip. When they get close to the island, one thing you can do right away is bump on out that plesiosaur. So you have a plesiosaurus, and if you're following along with your 5th edition DM's guide, or sorry, monster manual, this is on page 80. So a plesiosaurus is a large beast, armor class 13, challenge rating 2. So they're not super deadly, which is great. So you could apply this to a low-level encounter, or if you have a mid-level party and you want to make it more challenging, maybe there are 4 plesiosaurs who attack the landing craft as they're approaching from the boat, because there's no harbor on this island. That's another important thing. Hold breath. The plesiosaur can hold his breath for an hour. Melee weapon attack, +6 to hit, reach of 10 feet, 1 target, 3d6 +4 piercing damage. So here's my idea. There's no established harbor for large ships. So the ship has to throw the anchor down about a half mile out, and then you have to take smaller longboats from the ship, or rowboats, whatever, to the island. And in the course of that, you can have plesiosaurus, or you could have a combination. Maybe there are some sharks, whatever. So make it a little bit challenging, but don't go crazy, right? But just a little bit of a hint. And by the way, don't identify the plesiosaurus. Just describe the creature. Describe it. If you're using the DM screen for secrecy, that's great. If you're not, then have the basic stat block on a note card so that you don't have the book open. Because once players see this page open and they figure out that you're using dinosaurs, they're going to metagame and they're going to anticipate that you're going to use other more dangerous dinosaurs down the line. So you don't want to do that. Keep it mysterious, right? But you have this first encounter that takes place when they're going from the big ship to the island. Now they get to the island. And the island, maybe they land on a rocky beach and then there's just dense jungle. They start exploring. This is a great opportunity to throw a lot of other beasts at them that aren't dinosaurs. But you know, you can get that from any number of other previous Monster Mondays or use your own sense of what to add. Inland, I think it would be cool if once they're kind of making their way through, you have a few aerial attacks, okay? Which is where we get the Pteranodon. Same page, stat block's pretty straightforward. These are even less challenging than the plesiosaur. But here, whereas the plesiosaurus can attack from underwater, and they might not get a very good description of what that creature was, basically once you describe a Pteranodon, they're gonna be like, oh, it's a flying bird lizard dinosaur creature. They're gonna figure it out, which is fine. These are super not challenging, but in a way they can be because they have flyby attack as a special feature. So the Pteranodon doesn't provoke an opportunity attack when it flies out of an enemy's reach. They have a flight speed of 60. So they could swoop down, make an attack, and then swoop out without getting an attack of opportunity. So a party that's like all melee would have a really big challenge with these guys. Now, if you have some spell blasters or some ranged attack people, some bow folks, it won't be that bad because they don't have a lot of hit points. It's 3d8 hit points, average of 13. Their bite attack is a +3 to hit. It does 2d4 +1 damage. So again, this is another great opportunity to do what I always recommend, which is decide how to scale this. If you have a levels 1 through 3 party doing this, maybe you only have a couple, 2 or 3 of these Pteranodons. If you have a group that's mid-level, like 5th to 8th level or 9th level even, you can have 15 of them come and attack. Okay, maybe it's a whole flock of them, but you can decide how many to use. But the idea is now that they're on the island, they're starting to discover that there are these other kinds of beasts. And maybe yet they haven't discovered any sign of humanoids, of sentient thinking life forms. It's all just kind of beast attacks. But you could get creative. You know, you could have this island have weird magical properties. Maybe there's like various fungi that attack. Maybe there are different large insect creatures that live on the island. So you can have these kind of things happening. Anytime they are exploring, you can have a random die roll and throw, you know, a challenge at them. Keep them moving. Remember too that exhaustion makes a difference. So if they set up a camp and they're trying to get a long rest in, and during one of the watches there's a full-on attack from something, it interrupts people's sleep. So you could use that to your advantage. Remember that a big portion of D&D isn't just fighting. The exploration component can be challenging because if you run out of food and supplies and water, or you can't get a good night's sleep because every time you do, you're attacked by something and you're starting to suffer exhaustion, that can make things challenging. You don't even have to throw high-level monsters at them. If everybody's exhausted, that's a problem. You can have poisonous, low-level but poisonous creatures, and somebody gets poisoned, okay? So maybe a very thorough party would have brought antidotes, or maybe they have somebody who can cure those things. But eventually, they start to run out of supplies. They start to run out of healing. They start to run out of spell slots to heal. And when you don't get your rests in, you don't recoup spell slots. So I think a fun thing to do with these dinosaurs is to, instead of like kill the party with dinosaurs, it's challenge the exploration with dinosaurs. Now, some of these dinosaurs don't necessarily have to be aggressive, like the Ankylosaurus, the Allosaurus, the Triceratops could be minding their own business. But the party, in exploring, stumbles into a little valley where the Triceratops have their young. Maybe they have some Triceratops eggs or some babies. Well, you know, if the party's smart and they see this and they back away, that doesn't have to be a combat encounter. And yet they have still explored. So they could be mapping this island and they could write down notes about, you know, here's this valley that we discovered 2 miles north and 1 mile northwest where there are Triceratops. Okay, so that's another component of the destination adventure. It's an opportunity for them to map things. Now, by the way, as a DM, you could either leave that up to them or you can make it part of the contract under which they have been hired. So you can have their company or lord or whoever hired them to do this require that they map out this island. That's part of it, right? So that mapping part becomes cool too because it encourages them to explore the whole island. A lot of times with adventures, the players become focused on just getting to the end guy, killing him, getting the treasure, and getting out. You want to encourage them to explore the whole island. So that mechanism in the story that they must map out the island as part of their contract could force them to do that instead of just going straight to the ruins or whatever. Okay, so we've used pteranodons, plesiosaurs. Triceratops are more challenging. They're a challenge rating 5. So what if your party of dummies decides that they're going to go in to Triceratops Valley? Well, the adult Triceratopses will defend their young. That's the nature of the beast, literally. And they are huge, and they do massive, massive damage. They have a gore attack and a stomp attack. And they have, their special is trampling charge. If the Triceratops moves at least 20 feet straight toward a creature and then hits it with a gore attack, that target must succeed on a DC 13 strength save or be knocked prone. If it's prone, the Triceratops can make one stomp attack against it as a bonus action. That stomp attack, by the way, is 3d10 plus 6. So, as we're going through these, I'm thinking this is more of a mid-level thing. you could put a very experienced low-level party like level 3 into this mix if they're smart players. But if you have a bunch of newbies, maybe make this like a mid-level thing. All right, you guys know I'm saving the best for last, but let's say that they go into an Allosaurus, or sorry, an Ankylosaurus is about slightly weaker than the Triceratops. That's on page 79. Challenge rating 3. They have a tail attack. It's funny because as I'm reading these, I think of all the different things that my son grew up with when he was fascinated with dinosaurs. The Allosaurus is actually a challenge rating 2. But they can pounce and they can do a bite and claw attack. So the Allosauruses are maybe those carnivorous dinosaurs that keep hunting the party because they would make for a snack, a nice tasty snack. And again, you could scale them up by giving them more hit points or fewer hit points or just the number, the quantity that you're using them. All right, so the last one obviously is the T-Rex. All dinosaur movies and, dinosaur lovers fear and know the T-Rex. The T-Rex is a challenge rating 8. It's got multiple attacks. It's got a bite. It's got a tail attack. It's got a movement speed of 50. So again, this is something to decide. A mid-level party could maybe take out one T-Rex. Maybe they don't, though. Maybe they flee. Maybe you use the T-Rex as a plot device to drive them inward to where they stumble upon while they're fleeing from this T-Rex. They stumble upon the ruins of this ancient civilization. They find that this ancient civilization, imagine discovering like a Mayan or Aztec ruin. It's, the jungle has overtaken it. You have to be very descriptive about the ruins. And this is your opportunity to show them that like the architecture and the art of this place is very foreign and different from the place that they're from. Maybe that golden statue that they found, if they researched prior to leaving on the expedition, maybe they see that it's definitely from this area. Maybe the person with the arcane lore has the ability to determine that this civilization used magic pretty frequently. But at some point, there must have been some catastrophic event. Now, what that is totally up to you. It could have just been a disease and everybody died at the end. You can make it much more elaborate if you want. You could even tie it into the dinosaurs. Maybe this temple or this whole ruined city was actually Yuan Ti, the snake people, and they got wiped out. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they just moved underground because the dinosaur population was taking them out. I don't know. I don't know what it is. That's up to you. But this whole Monster Monday was about dinosaurs, and we talked a lot about how to use them. So that's probably the best way to take dinosaurs and use them in an adventure along with a bunch of other stuff is by making a destination adventure. And I gave you several encounter options for how to integrate them. But let's say you're like, Bill, I don't want to, send my group to an island where dinosaurs are. I want them to stay in their own home area. Okay, what if there's a cult that wants to create chaos and havoc, and they figure out a way to open up a portal to an island where there are dinosaurs, and they draw the dinosaurs in. And so now you have your normal area, your normal region, suddenly flooded with dinosaurs. It's like if somebody opened up the gates to Jurassic Park and let everybody out. That's another easy way to drop them in. Is that as effective as the destination adventure? I don't think so. But you can make it effective by creating a story hook that basically makes it fit in with your current campaign. So think of whatever your big bad end guy is. Maybe it's a cult, maybe it's a wizard, whatever. Or maybe it's a faction, and that faction has exhausted all their possible resources to try to defeat the good guys. And so this is kind of their last-ditch effort, is to bring, to open up this portal to an island where these dinosaurs still live, and to draw them through the portal. So you have, a flock of pteranodons and a bunch of Allosauruses, and then, maybe a few T-Rexes, right? And maybe that chaos and all that stuff, you know, that they create, and maybe a few of the other ones like the Triceratops and the Ankylosaurs, maybe that just creates enough chaos in their normal region for the good guys to have this challenge. And it destroys property and it, you know, creates this big mess. And that's exactly what the bad guys wanted to do, to maybe subterfuge or distract the good guys so that they can actually achieve their real secondary goal. So, yeah, those are a couple different ways that you could use dinosaurs. I think they're easy to use. I don't know if I would repeat this, but it could certainly be the kind of thing that starts off with an adventure and goes into a longer running campaign if you decided to do that. You would just have to feel out how much your players enjoy that. You know, if your players really liked it and they're like, dude, I loved that island adventure that you had, that was epic, and it lasted 4 or 5 sessions, you know, throughout the whole island exploration and then the ruins and then encountering the dead civilization in the ruins, or maybe it's undead in the ruins, I don't know. But one way or the other, if your players really respond to it, you know, that's always an option. You could always say that, you know, there are other islands that have been found, and maybe you change it up a little bit, but you can still use those dinosaurs. Or maybe some of these dinosaurs are brought back to the mainland. You know, like a Jurassic Park or Alien kind of thing, where like some NPCs that have been hired by the company secretly take some of the dinosaur eggs, you know, and are kind of bringing them back on the ship. And then fast forward a year later, there's this outbreak of dinosaurs on the mainland, and people are like, where did these come from? And then, you know, the party can trace it back to that initial adventure. So anyway, that's Monster Monday. Hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, click on the notifications bell, and if you have any ideas for other monsters that you'd like me to cover in Monster Monday, just leave your ideas in the comments below and I'll add them to the list. Thanks, peace out.